We're waiting to learn when the trial will start for 3 days. Accused of kidnapping 3 This comes after a judge set their bonds over the weekend. A Mississippi agency says a judge should reject retired NFL quarterback Brett Favre's request to be removed from a lawsuit seeking to recover his spent welfare money. You can give your input on the City of Tupelo's outlook today. The city is holding a public hearing to discuss the city's comprehensive plan.
Live, local, late-breaking. This is WTVA 9 News.
At 5:30 this morning, looking live in Blue Springs, it is a pretty morning, I guess, as we can expect to see soon, but it's also a very cold morning. What do you see, Chelsea?
Five degrees, but out towards Alabama, still a lot of sunshine. Temperatures only warming into those low to middle 50s today.
Now an investigation continues after a Mississippi Highway Patrol vehicle hit someone, and that person died. It happened in Hattiesburg early Friday morning. The Hattiesburg Police Department says the woman was in the middle of the road when a passing Mississippi Highway Patrol vehicle hit her. She died on the scene. The name of that woman has not been released. Police presence was heavy in the area for several hours as officials cleared the area and began their investigations. This morning, Alabama lawmakers say they will soon discuss 2 bills that will help to eliminate discrimination against people with disabilities. WSFA in Alabama reports lawmakers are considering 2 bills. These are the Colby Act and Exton's Law. The Colby Act is named after Colby Spangler. It would allow adults with disabilities to have a decision-making agreement with an individual or group instead of a guardianship or conservatorship. Exton's Law would prohibit discrimination against people with disabilities from receiving organ transplants. Exton's mother, Savannah Black, says this law would not let health officials jump ship and go to the top of the line. It allows people to get the requirements and meet the requirements without investigating someone's mental competence. Exton's Law has not been filed yet, but the Colby Act, we're told, will be in a House committee this Wednesday.
This Skilled to Work story is sponsored by Northeast Mississippi Community College.
If you have an interest in the medical field, you may like the idea of becoming an EMT. I got to talk with an Itawamba Community College instructor to find out what it takes to become one in this week's Skilled to Work.
Sometimes people don't necessarily choose their careers choose them.
I felt helpless.
Education coordinator Al Wright works with North Mississippi MS. He found out in his early teen years what he would go into. He explained how his neighbor was found dead.
They found him dead in his house, and they called my mom, which worked at the hospital, to come check on him. Anyway, she was at work, and I went down my bike, and he was lying in the bed dead, and I couldn't do anything.
That made him decide he wanted to help people.
And after that, I took a CPR course, and voila, here I am.
You can start a career in the medical field, too. One option is becoming an EMT, an emergency medical technician.
The EMTs probably start kind of almost at the beginning.
Wright says he teaches an EMT class on Itawamba Community College's Belden campus. So what exactly do EMTs do?
When something happens, they call 911. And most of the time, a lot of times, they're the first responders that respond to the call. And then the EMTs that's on the ambulance. They come and provide emergency care on the scene and also doing transport to the hospital.
You have to be at least 18 years old to apply to take this program, and you have to have at least a 16 on the ACT. You must also have a sufficient driving record. The class meets 2 nights a week, and it lasts a semester. You also do not have to enroll as a traditional student with college credits. You have to apply online. They then enroll you in the class if you meet the qualifications.
And Wright says the medical field has a significant shortage of EMTs and paramedics right now. Be sure and check out this week's Skilled to Work when it posts later today on WTVA.com for more information. Happening now, many of us heading back to work and school right now. Now that spring break is over, you put off getting gas over the weekend, you may be wondering what prices are looking like at the pump right now. The average price of gas in Mississippi has gone down a bit since our last check Friday morning, but not by much. It's at about $2.99, down from $3. Nationally, the average price of gas is coming in at about $3.44. The average price of diesel in Mississippi, about $3.97. 5:35 is the time. Looking live at Gas Buddy's website. You can actually use this tool on your own time if you'd like to as well to check gas prices around you. We're looking live right now in Tupelo. Top of our list for the cheapest gas prices is the Valero. That's actually over in Pontotoc, it says. It's coming in at $2.50. Then the Wild Bills in the Sherman area at $2.69. The Murphy USA in Fulton at $2.75. Same for the Wild Bills in Fulton. And then in Tupelo, the Express at $2.77. And then $2.78 at the Walmart Neighborhood Market in Tupelo, rather. A lot of options under the $3 mark this morning. Your gas tracker coverage continues on Mondays and Fridays. This morning, Alabama celebrated a little bit early this year with the annual Governor's Egg Roll. Take a look. Governor Ivey kicked off Governor's Egg Roll over the weekend. Kids got the chance to go out and hunt for Easter eggs. They also got to meet some of their favorite Disney princesses, including Anna and Elsa. They also got to meet the Easter Bunny. You see them posing here for a big picture. It's an event that not only is fun, but it gives folks a chance to come together as a community.
This is the highlight of the year. The main purpose of Beyond the Moment events, such as the Governor's Easter Egg Roll, is to not only keep the children connected to the Magic Moment staff and boards, but it keeps the families connected. These families have so much in common, and they build such a bond. They may not see each other except for 2 or 3 times a year at these events. So the main thing is to keeping these families together.
And 2023's White House Easter Egg Roll is coming up on April 10th. Looking ahead, communities all across our area will soon get ready to celebrate Easter. The Alcorn County Parks and Rec Department announced there's an Easter event coming up soon. It's coming up Saturday, April 1st. You can find us at the Crossroads Regional Park. This event is expected to start at 12:30 and continue until 3 that afternoon. You can expect music, games, prizes, and getting pictures with the Easter Bunny. The department says you will also get to hunt more than 3,000 Easter eggs altogether. The kids, they say, will be divided into age groups for this. This morning, Turkey continues recovering right now. It's after a recent deadly earthquake. Now, one city is worried about future earthquakes.
And as you're heading out for this morning, we are going to continue to track out very chilly conditions, but with spring comes allergies. So what are those allergies looking like for today?
Medical Minute, brought to you by Baptist Union County.
One of the best gifts we can give to our close friends and family is letting them know our end-of-life goals and wishes. In medicine and law, we have ways of putting these requests into writing, though the conversation is definitely more important than documents. Sometimes these forms are lost in file folders or locked away in lock boxes at the bank for safekeeping. When physicians stand at the bedside with patients who are unable to make their own medical decisions, we rely on the legal next of kin or the power of attorney for healthcare to guide us based on the patient's wishes. For this reason, it is essential this person knows what is most important to you. I encourage you to step out of your comfort zone by opening up conversation about this with your family and friends. This will certainly lighten the burden of critical healthcare decision-making for the ones in your life that matter most.
Every day, you can depend on WTVA 9 News at 5 and 6 to cover important news when it happens from where you live. Join WTVA 9 News anchor Emily Leonard and me, Craig Ford, with Chief Meteorologist Matt Lovehom and the Severe Weather Authority, keeping you and your family safe. Live coverage of local news depends on WTVA 9 News at 5 and 6. Live, local, late breaking.
Do you know a senior loved one in need of home care? My name is Jane Sams, and I opened Visiting Angels after experiencing care for my mom. Through this personal experience, I understand how important and sometimes difficult this journey can be. Our angels are committed to providing compassionate, quality home care to your loved one and peace of mind for you. At Visiting Angels, we work to keep our seniors engaged and happy in the comfort of their own home. We are always here for you because at Visiting Angels, your family is our family.
The Rehabilitation Centers of Advanced Healthcare Management are dedicated to helping residents maintain their individual lifestyles while providing an environment of health, well-being, and security. Our care has no limits. We are ready to serve and to help our residents continue living life to the fullest. Whether you or your loved one is in need of long-term care or short-term rehabilitation services, come find your place in our care at any Advanced Healthcare Management locations.
I'm an actor in an ad reminding you that if you're high, just don't drive.
Good morning, 5:40 is the time. You're looking live outside right now. And if you're about to head outside in Tupelo where you see here, or anywhere else across our area, you're going to want a jacket, some gloves. It is cold as we get ready to start our new work week. Chelsea, what are you tracking at the moment?
Yeah, we're going to need to bundle up as you are heading out early for your morning time. Blue Springs right now sitting at 27 degrees. A few cars already out there. You can see some bright stars actually in the sky. Very clear conditions for your morning time. So it's going to be a nice sunrise. A little bit later, it's definitely going to be a cold sunrise though. We will start to see temperatures warming up. These are those afternoon highs over the next several days, and those temperatures keep climbing over the next few days. We're only going to be in the 50s for the afternoon. 60s Tuesday, Wednesday, into the 70s, Thursday, into the 80s. Now, Friday, we see some rainfall. It's going to cool us off, but Thursday, all the way into the 80s. And with springtime comes allergies. So that allergy report for today, trees, mold on that moderate end, weed on the lower end, dust high. And those allergies are just going to climb over the next few days as we still continue to see mostly dry conditions and warmer weather over the next few days.
This morning, the Federal Reserve may raise interest rates this week. This is according to reports. Economists believe the Fed will likely approve a quarter-point rate hike at its upcoming meeting. It would be the 9th straight time the Fed has raised rates to help cool down inflation.
And as you're heading out for your morning in West Point, we are going to continue to track out fairly calm conditions. But if you are heading out this early in the morning, what are those temperatures looking like right now, and how warm will we be later today?
I've been a patient at IMPC right at 20 years. What I like about IMPC is I am treated like an individual, not a number. Everyone knows my name, and when I come back, they call me by my name. If I have a problem, they're going to find out what it is. They're interested in the quality of life and a healthy, long life.
Attention Medicaid and Medicare recipients. Did you know you may be eligible for up to $10,000 in extra benefits at no extra cost? Benefits like a yearly allowance for over-the-counter items and groceries, a utility bill allowance, dental care, and more in our expanded coverage areas. Call now for your free Shared Health Mississippi Medicare Decision Guide to find out how you can get the benefits you deserve. You'll get easy guidance on eligibility requirements, enrollment periods, and gaps in coverage between some plans. The Medicare Decision Guide includes the information you need to help you choose the best health plan for you. Talk to a helpful agent directly, not an out-of-country call center. Just call the number on your screen now. There's no obligation. Call for your free guide to help you get the benefits you deserve. Absolutely free. If you qualify for Medicare and Medicaid, find out how you can get more benefits. Call today for your free Shared Health Mississippi Medicare Decision Guide and get the benefits you deserve.
This is a paid advertisement for legal services. Attention, survivors of sexual abuse. Sexual abuse is a pattern of behavior that may simply begin with non-consensual touching. Sexual abuse by persons in authority is a national crisis, and survivors deserve justice. Attorneys for Survivor Justice are investigating civil claims on behalf of abuse survivors. All conversations are confidential, and we can investigate your claim anonymously. If you or a loved one is a survivor of sexual abuse, call the number on your screen or visit abusejustice.com for a free confidential consultation. We are pursuing claims on behalf of survivors against institutions and individuals, including universities, colleges, schools, professors, coaches, and team doctors, churches and clergy, businesses or companies, hospitals and medical professionals. Survivors of sexual abuse deserve justice. If you or a loved one is a survivor of sexual abuse, call the Attorneys for Survivor Justice at the number on your screen or visit abusejustice.com now for a free confidential consultation.
At Heifer International, we believe in the power of people. All they need is a chance. Important news when it happens where you live. WTVA 9 News at 5 and 6.
Now, your WTVA Severe Weather Authority forecast with meteorologist Chelsea Simmons.
Welcome back, 5:45 is the time, Chelsea. We have made it through winter.
We have. Almost.
Almost.
Spring starts at 4:24 this afternoon.
Yeah, we got a little bit longer.
We're close.
Still definitely feeling that winter, though.
It is. Ooh, it is cold outside. I stepped outside just a few minutes ago. There was frost covering the windshield. So needing to bundle up, needing that extra time to maybe crank the car, get it warmed up. And if you're not rushing out the door and having to kind of scrape that ice off the windshield. But if you are heading out right now, or here in the next few minutes, temperatures for a lot of us down into the 20s. Sherman, right now, we are seeing a few cars already out on the roadways. Not really tracking much other than the cold weather. That's going to slow you down this morning. We are seeing mostly clear skies. We're not tracking out any rainfall this morning. We're going to continue to track out a lot more of those clear conditions on Storm Track Doppler. A lot of stars in the sky. We are going to see a nice sunrise a little bit later on, but it is definitely a cold start. 23 degrees over towards Corinth, 25 in Oxford, 26 degrees in Columbus. And if you're heading outside right now in Tupelo, it looks nice outside. It's still pretty dark, but we are going to continue to see temperatures right around 27 degrees. Probably going to fall into those middle 20s as we get closer towards that sunrise time, which is right around that 7 o'clock hour. But if you are heading out over the rest of the day, going into the afternoon, expect to see a lot of sunshine. So the extra layers, also the sunglasses needed. By lunchtime, we're at 45 degrees. We're going to continue to see a few more clouds for the afternoon. Most of those really high, thin clouds out there. But we are going to continue to track out a few more clouds for the evening as well. A few breaks here and there by 7 o'clock. Still seeing a few breaks in the clouds as that sun is starting to set. We will continue to see a clearing through the evening overnight. So those temperatures dropping once again. Right around 37 degrees by 11 o'clock tonight. We are going to fall below freezing for some of us. We do have those freeze warnings once again covering the area. So most of us into those lower 30s by your early tomorrow morning. For afternoon highs today, typically we'd be in the upper 60s. We're only warming to around 52 degrees up towards Boonville, 54 in Eupora, 54 around Columbus, 55 in Macon. So we are seeing temperatures a little bit warmer than we were yesterday, still well below where we should be. And even tomorrow is still well below where we should be for this time of year. But we are at least slightly warmer, lower 60s, lower 70s for your Wednesday. Now Tuesday, Wednesday, especially through the northern few counties in our area, could be seeing a little bit of that rainfall. We will see a lot of sunshine for your Thursday. Temperatures in the low 80s. More rainfall for your Friday as a front pushes through, and that could be bringing some stronger thunderstorms along with it.
This morning, Turkey's current account deficit hit a new record in January, widening to $9.85 billion. The news comes as the country struggles to recover from last month's devastating earthquake. The nation's death toll still growing, now at more than 48,000. Meanwhile, Istanbul residents share their concerns regarding future earthquakes. Nada Bashir has that story.
The sound of concrete crumbling into rubble. This time by design. This demolition, part of a grand regeneration project. The city of Istanbul preparing for what experts warn is an inevitable earthquake. Tens of thousands of homes are currently in the process of being evaluated for their safety as residents grow increasingly concerned. Honestly, I'm afraid, Mushtad tells me. I think residents would feel more relieved if precautions were taken immediately. This is one of what officials say is more than 800,000 buildings in Istanbul built before earthquake regulations were brought into force in the year 2000. And authorities say at least half of all buildings assessed so far have been placed under high-risk categories.
Yaptığımız hasar tahmin çalışmalarında
According to the damage estimation studies we held, we foresee that approximately 90,000 structures will be subject to heavy and very heavy damage, Muslim tells me.
Well, in this vast city of around 16 million people, the threat of a major earthquake looms large. A fault line beneath the Sea of Marmara, just 20 kilometers from the city at its closest point, could cause untold damage if it were to break.
And while experts predict the magnitude of such an earthquake could be anywhere between 7.2 and 7.8, there is no telling when the earthquake might strike.
If a major earthquake doesn't happen in the next 20 years, we'd be really surprised. So it's that close. There is no way to predict it. The sensible thing is to get prepared for it.
But it's not just about ensuring that buildings are able to withstand a major earthquake. but also preparing for what is said to be an enormous humanitarian response effort, with experts estimating the loss of tens of thousands of lives and potentially millions of residents left homeless. It is an immense challenge for this metropolis, particularly when it comes to communities like this one, with many homes here built without permissions and without structural guarantees. Those who say that they trust their buildings are just consoling themselves, she tells me. Most buildings here are more than 30 years old, and most of them have had levels added to them. I don't think they're sturdy buildings. I want to move, but in Turkey, rent prices are just too high. And with some of Turkey's most disadvantaged now struggling to even buy bread, many are left with no choice but to continue living in high-risk buildings. Seeing what happened over in the southeast, we became very afraid over here, Shukriya tells me. What will happen to our house? What will happen to our children? What will happen to us? Questions many Istanbul residents are now asking themselves as concerns mount over how much time is left for this historic city to prepare for the unimaginable.
Here this morning, one Alabama Bible teacher is without a job. This after investigators say he had sex with a student. Now he's facing charges for it.
Morning. Hardee's 2 for $5 mix and match breakfast. Start your day with made-from-scratch sausage and egg biscuits, biscuit and gravy, or syrupy French toast dips. Beginning 2, just $5. My rewards members get exclusive offers on the Hardee's app.
The WTVA Senior Health Fair is back for a spring event, presented by Bobby Brock Insurance. On Tuesday, March 21st, come out to enjoy all the fun, including a live edition of the WTVA Noon News. Come see Tanya Carter and Chelsea Simmons during the show and get a chance to meet them and others from the WTVA team. And see tons of local businesses there for you to learn about what they have to offer. The Senior Health Fair, Tuesday, March 21st from 9 until 2.
It's 5 a.m. and you've tried every pillow trick you know. Yet you still wake up with crippling pain and zombie brain. It's time to break your sleepless cycle with Nuzzle, the NASA-inspired pillow that provides zero gravity support. The secret is thousands of nanocoil fibers. Each one pushes against gravity to gently support your neck and cradle your head for a feeling of plush weightlessness. Plus, Nuzzle is the world's first pillow that has 2 adjustable inner layers.
About it after the girl's parents became concerned. Lacey Beasley has the story.
Cuffs right here is 44-year-old Jonathan Sauer and down, keeping silent. Investigators say he's and soccer coach at Faith Academy for years. According to MCSO, Sowers met the student at the Sims Walmart, picked her up, drove to a different parking lot, and had sex in the car. She then walked back to her car at Walmart. Meanwhile, her parents were frantically searching for her.
She hadn't returned in an hour and a half, so they went out. They found her car. Did not find their daughter in the car. They went inside the Walmart. They could not locate their daughter, so they became very concerned, and they notified the sheriff's office and went to file a missing persons report.
Soon after, a Sims police officer found her walking near Moffett Road. That's when investigators say she told them she was having a sexual relationship with Sowers.
I believe he has been a teacher at this school for quite a number of years. I believe she's been there for maybe 2 or 3. They know each other, obviously. She's a student in his class currently. And I believe this has been going on for several months.
And this is Jonathan Sauer's first mugshot at Metro. He's now facing 2 felony charges, 1 count of a school employee sex act and 1 count of a school employee sexual contact with a student under 19. And if he's convicted, he could face 10 to 20 years behind bars for each charge.
As you're heading outside right now, we are going to continue to track out very chilly conditions. We are starting off with clear skies for your Monday morning. Temperatures down into the 20s for most, and Tupelo temperature dropped to around 25 degrees now. Oxford sitting at 25, Columbus at 26. We're going to continue to track out chillier weather, even down around the Golden Triangle region. Fairly calm, clear skies. Traffic is flowing smoothly. We're really not seeing much to slow you down as you're heading out, but just make sure you are layered up for your early morning.
Hey guys, Jerry.
WCVA.
It's not feeling like spring, but it will later this week, I promise. This morning, though, a freeze warning for the entire state, as well as the entire coverage area here in Northeast Mississippi and West Alabama. Temperature-wise, this is what we're looking at. Kosciuszko down to 21, it's 25 in Starkville, 22 in Eupora, 24 in Winona, 20 degrees. You all might be the first candidate to see a 19 pop up. We'll be watching closely. 25 degrees for Corinth and Iuka. High pressure in control, a clear sky, a calm wind. That's the perfect recipe to get really, really cold. Some high clouds come in today, but we are going to see no chance of rain and highs better than yesterday, but still not warm as they should be. Only in the lower to middle 50s across the state. High pressure kind of scoots off to the east. We're not going to see too much wind today. That's some good news. Again, some high clouds kind of come in at times, but that high is going to be close enough and the sky stays mainly clear enough tonight into Tuesday to see another round of freezing temperatures. And then you can see that moisture back to the west. That's going to signal some warmer weather and eventually some rain and storms by Friday. Eric?
Thanks, Isaac. The Iraq War started 20 years ago today. CNN's Ben Wedeman is looking back at the U.S.-led effort, everything from the takedown of Saddam.
To sew and how to quilt. So I learned how to make my first items, and that was my Barbie doll clothes when I was 9 years old at home on her treadle machine.
I make spoons and spatulas and bread knives, make it out of a lot of reclaimed wood that I'll find if I'm driving down the road and somebody's discarded a table or a chair. I'll stop and pick it up and take it to my shop and refurbish it and make things that I can sell.
The vendors say the farmers market's a great way to network and meet new people. Tractor Supply hosted the market. A car show in Columbus was trying to guide kids in the right direction after getting their attention with cool rides. Keely Shields brings us the brainchild of the IM mentoring program and the Second Look Corvette Club.
When he is off duty from his day job, Darnell Madison works as a mentor to youth in the area through his IM mentoring program.
So the whole purpose of me becoming a police officer was to, in fact, change. And so with change, it goes beyond the job. So a lot of this is my own money, me and my partner's own money. We sacrifice our off time to make sure that these kids see us beyond the badge and actually see us as real people that care about their lives.
With over 20 Corvettes in the show lineup, Madison says he wanted to host an event like this as a fun way to reach people in the community. So far, he's had support from people all over.
We have people that came from Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, and even all around the state to come out for a good cause.
Anthony Spencer is a member of the Second Look Corvette Club. As any car enthusiast, his Corvette is one of his prized possessions.
Yeah, it's my baby. This is my third one.
He says his club is looking to fight the same mission, and the best way to do that is for all to come together and support each other.
A lot of times you see these fast cars, you think, oh, we're going to go fast and break laws, speed limits and things like that. It's not all the case about that. It's really like the looks, and even though you have that power, you're not supposed to abuse it. We're here for the community and for the youth, and to be a positive role model to anybody that's There needs one.
Telling your story in Columbus, Keely Shields, WCBI News.
And from Monroe County, celebrating 16 years in the broadcast and music industry, Stevenson Clark hosted a special service at the Ebenezer Baptist Church in Memphis. A few years ago, he expanded his radio career by starting an internet-based station, popgospel.com. Now he's got listeners from all over.
At first, I was a little reluctant. Because I said, no, I want Memphis. I want my Memphis station. But now, people like yourself, my mother, Chicago, just download the app and internet works because we all live on it.
Unfortunately, we do. This app can be downloaded for free at popgospelradio.com. The Eupora Police Department hosted a Funny Bunny Fun Day. It was an Easter egg hunt complete with giveaways, and some even got to go in the money machine to grab cash. The mayor and police chief were happy to see dozens of kids enjoying themselves. The Columbus Soccer Organization is dribbling into its 5th year, allowing adult players to keep their passion alive. Kia Cummings joined a Just for Fun game in their free time to find out what keeps the club.
Afternoon, we're going to be well below where we should be for this time of year. As you're heading outside right now, this INDOT traffic camera in Starkville, mostly clear sky. Middle 20s. We work in this chillier weather this morning. If you're going to be outside for the afternoon, as
Basketball team headed to the Sweet 16 round of the NCAA tournament. Now, with more on what this meeting is all about today. What do you have, Avery?
Yeah, Bronson, good morning. I'm live just out of City Hall. And today, Tupelo residents will have the opportunity to voice their thoughts on the city's outlook. Now, this meeting will happen immediately following the regularly scheduled work session of the Tupelo City Council. It will start at 4 at City Hall. City leaders will talk about the updating of City of Tupelo's comprehensive plan. That's a plan that sets forth a vision and goal for the city's future and provides the overall foundation for all land use regulation in the city. Now, that plan expires in 2025. Now, this meeting is open to the public. If you have any questions, then contact the city planner, Jenny Savely. You will see her email at the bottom of the screen. Now, make sure that you attend if you would like to voice your thoughts on the city's future. Live in Lee County, Avery Hilliard, WTVA 9 News.
Here this morning, a state agency is pushing for a judge to reject a retired NFL quarterback's request to be removed from a welfare lawsuit. What they have to say about this request is coming up. Plus, many of us getting ready to head back to class or at work today. We want to
looking towards the rest of your week, we'll see a little bit of warmer weather, more spring-like, and actually we're going to be slightly above average later this week, which, in my opinion, that's good news. Because right now we're sitting in the middle 20s in Tupelo. We're sitting at 25 degrees, calm conditions, so we don't have as much of that wind chill. But even into the afternoon, we're going to be well below where we should be, which is typically around 68 degrees. We're only going to be warming into those lower to middle 50s, but at least that's warmer than we were yesterday. Over towards the Starkville area, we're going to continue to track out fairly calm roadways. We're not seeing much to slow you down other than the cold weather. So definitely needing to crank your car a little bit earlier, get that windshield defrosted, get it warmed up. By looking at live local traffic, we're not seeing anything on that to slow you down.
Those of us heading back to class this week, listen up. Mississippi State University having some road and sidewalk closures starting today. This work is in connection to the improvements at the Humphrey Coliseum, which is Mississippi State's basketball arena. Workers say they're going to close a portion of Bailey Howell Lane from the Mize Pavilion to Lakeview Drive today. It'll stay closed through the 1st of May. They say the adjacent sidewalk will stay closed through August. At 6:12 this morning, we have new information for you on a deadly weekend shooting out of Jackson. This morning, 2 people are now facing charges. Who investigators arrested is coming up. And this morning is something that not only gives folks a chance to celebrate Easter, but also brings the community together. This morning, we're taking a look at the Alabama egg roll.
And as you're heading outside right now in Columbus, we are going to continue to track out fairly calm conditions, clear skies, but could we see any more clouds as we're heading throughout the rest of your day?
Tonight.
So the severe weather risk could change area, maybe upgraded over the next few days, but right now,
Spring, I can feel the sneezing coming on already. Not really, but anyway, I'm looking forward to the warmer weather. It's not here yet, though.
we will see warmer weather as we're heading through the rest of the week. It's just a very cold start to your Monday as folks are maybe heading back to class after spring break, heading back to work after spring break. We're going to start off on the freezing side. Literally, down into the 20s this morning. Seeing clear skies, and we stop a little bit before that sunrise. So these temperatures may drop a couple more degrees. Heading outside right now, rain-free conditions to start the new week. And actually looking outside, cloud-free for a lot of us. A little bit of that first light right along the horizon. That camera looking back out towards the east as that sun's going to continue to come up. Looks like it's going to be a nice view to maybe watch from the inside because temperatures are sitting at 23 degrees over towards Oxford, 30 in Ripley down towards New Albany, but even around the Golden Triangle region, Columbus is at 25 degrees. West Point sitting at 30. All of us below freezing. We have freeze warnings in effect through most of your morning. We will start to warm up, getting closer towards that late morning lunchtime, but only warming into the 40s at that point. We'll top out today into those low to middle 50s. Typically, we should be in those upper 60s for this time of year. Heading out throughout the rest of the day, we're going to continue to track out mostly clear skies. A few of those higher thin clouds moving in for the afternoon, evening. We're not tracking out any rainfall, though, for today. Some clouds moving back in for your Tuesday morning, early in the day. So for some of us, partly cloudy tomorrow. And with some of those clouds by your Tuesday afternoon, could be bringing a little bit more of that rainfall. Most of that stays back up towards the north and the parts of Tennessee, but some of that moving through those far northern counties. Seeing a little bit of rainfall, nothing really too heavy, but most of us, once again, are going to stay dry. We're going to start to warm up over the next several days, but overnight tonight and also going into tomorrow morning, we have more of those freeze warnings across the area. So make sure you're bundled up tomorrow. We do see those rain chances for your Tuesday, Wednesday, with some thunderstorms possible for your Friday. Now, this is still days away, so the severe weather risk could change area, maybe upgraded over the next few days, but right now, all of us included in that severe weather risk. So just make sure you're staying weather aware, getting closer towards the end of the week. Temperatures warming up, about 10 degrees each day. Tomorrow, into those low 60s, 70s for your Wednesday, and 80s for your Thursday. And Thursday, we're dry, so that's going to be a good day to get outside.
Happening now, Ecuador is working on recovery efforts following a 6.8 magnitude earthquake that hit over the weekend. The Weather Channel reports at least 15 people have died as a result of this quake. It hit near the southern town of Balao and was nearly 41 miles deep, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. Lots of buildings and structures fully collapsed. This morning, at least one skier died. 2 others got hurt. This after getting caught in a massive avalanche in western Colorado Friday. The avalanche happened in the Upper Rapid Creek area. It was 2 to 3 feet deep where it began and up to 500 feet wide. On Saturday, law enforcement recovered the body of a 36-year-old, Joel Shute of Glenwood Springs. He'd been missing since Friday evening and was buried in the avalanche. It swept 2,400 feet down the mountainside where the victims were backcountry touring. Shute's body was found buried about 4 feet deep in avalanche debris. A skier and a snowboarder who were with Chute survived that avalanche. Snowboarder hiked out to get helicopter. According to officials, recent storms have raised avalanche risks in the area. This morning, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un calls for nuclear attack preparedness on the U.S. and Korea. He says his country should prepare to conduct nuclear attacks at any time to deter war. Kim praised the tactical drills held over the weekend and said they, quote, greatly improved the actual war capability of the units, end quote. The country held a two-day
Subscriptions delivered directly to my home.
The grand jury comes after the former president took to social media over the weekend and called for protests in the event of his arrest. For more on this, we go to NBC's Bree Jackson in Washington. Bree, good morning. So lay out what
this timeline laid out by the former president might already be facing complications. NBC News has learned that Robert Costello, a former legal advisor to former Trump lawyer Michael Cohen, will be testifying today before the grand jury in this case. It comes at the request of Mr. Trump's attorneys, according to a person with direct knowledge of the situation. Cohen also said returning to the DA's office today to state as a rebuttal witness. Cohen pled guilty in 2018 to making the illegal payment to Stormy Daniels and has met numerous times with the New York prosecutors that are bringing this case. Meanwhile, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is distancing himself from Mr. Trump's call for protest, but decrying the investigation as politically motivated. He had this to say when asked about it at the House GOP retreat in Florida on Sunday.
I don't think this, no. And I think President Trump, if you talk to him, he doesn't believe that either.
Meanwhile, Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg will not commenting publicly, but sent an internal message to his staff on Saturday in response to the words of the former president. The message said safety is their top priority, and shared that we do not tolerate attempts to intimidate our office or threaten the rule of law in New York. Trump adding overnight on Truth Social that Bragg should be held accountable for the crime of interference in a presidential election. Trump has denied any wrongdoing, as well as denying an affair with Daniels. Meanwhile, two senior law enforcement officials tell NBC News that there are interagency police and security meetings planned for today in case an indictment is handed down this week. So a lot going on here, Philip.
a major story potentially ahead in the coming days, Bree. Thank you.
This morning, Russian President Vladimir Putin will welcome Chinese President Xi Jinping to Moscow. The high-profile three-day visit comes at a crucial time for the Russian leader, who is being largely shunned on the international stage over his invasion of Ukraine. Let's go now live to our Ale Abruzzi in London. And Ale, good morning. What is Vladimir Putin hoping to get out of this meeting?
Good morning, Francis. Well, simply, I think support from a very, very strong ally is what he wants out of this meeting. Vladimir Putin is under enormous pressure these days. The war is not going according to plan. He's drowning in international sanctions, and now there's an ICC arrest warrant after him for the things he's done. So he wants support from a strong ally, and that's exactly what Xi Jinping is. This is his first trip to Russia since the invasion of Ukraine, and it clearly shows a lot of support to another leader who's very similar to himself. They're both authoritarian leaders that believe in a multipolar world, so they have a lot in common. They're both countering the United States, and with the amount of pressure that Russia is under and financial sanctions, they're really
that their money wasn't safe when it actually is.
The Biden administration praising the decision as it tries to restore Americans' confidence, saying in a statement, the U.S. financial system is resilient. The move comes just over a week after Silicon Valley Bank became the biggest U.S. bank to fail since the 2008 financial crisis. The New York Times reporting the bank's risky practices were on the Federal Reserve's radar for more than a year, and it was issued 6 citations in 2021. Members of Congress now calling for more reform. Senator Elizabeth Warren announcing a probe into the Silicon Valley and Signature Bank collapses.
We need accountability for our regulators who clearly fell down on the job.
Several congressional committees have called for reviews of the banking system's failures. The House Financial Services Committee is set to hold its first of multiple hearings about this on March 29th.
All right, Ali, thank you.
Today is an important day for the president of France. Emmanuel Macron faces a vote of no confidence in the National Assembly over a law his government ran through last week. It increases the age of retirement in France from 62 to 64. The legislation is deeply unpopular, and Macron had to bypass Parliament to enact it. While his premiership is expected to survive the vote, pressure is likely to continue. Today's political showdown comes on the heels of several days of street protests.
The state of emergency forced a top spring break city to shut down early. A curfew
which marks a 50% jump in nearly 3 years. That's according to a senior Democratic strategist advising the company ahead of Thursday's testimony before Congress. Lawmakers have national security concerns about the Chinese-owned company. TikTok creators are expected to speak out in D.C. on Wednesday. A TikTok spokesperson says lawmakers should hear firsthand from people whose lives would be directly affected.
New this morning, residents of Chicago are heading back to the polls today as early voting kicks off in the runoff election for mayor. Brandon Johnson is going up against Paul Vallis after beating out 9 candidates, including former Mayor Lori Lightfoot. Polls will be open starting today through April 4th.
Okay, let's see how we're starting off this Monday weather-wise and get to NBC meteorologist Michelle Grossman with a look at the latest. Hi, Michelle. While ground crew had a 19% higher rate of brain and nervous system cancers.
The Team USA needed one more win to head back to the World Baseball Classic Finals, standing in the
She joins us live in the studio. Alyssa, this really is the calm before the storm.
Not again, no!
Carlson posting on social media that she suffered a head injury. After the incident, the anchors quickly tossed a commercial break to help their colleague, calling 911 immediately before Carlson was treated at the hospital. The news station tweeted early Saturday afternoon, thanking viewers for their thoughts and prayers.
The moment she fainted was captured during a live broadcast. Our Maura Barrett has the story.
Clouds, a little bit of drizzle. Meteorologist Alyssa Carlson tells us she's recovering after this shocking is the calm before the storm.
Not again, no!
Viewers for their thoughts and prayers, clarifying she fainted during our morning newscast. Alyssa is now resting and recovering. It turns out this isn't a first for her. In 2014, as chief meteorologist for NBC Bakersfield, she suffered another health scare on air.
During the newscast, I threw up in the weather center.
Back then, her doctor told her she had a leaky heart valve.
They told me that eventually the valve would probably have to be replaced. They didn't know when it would wear out.
The diagnosis inspired her to get healthier, losing weight and working as a health coach on the side, motivating her passion as an advocate for the American Heart Association and her platform as Mrs. California. But after she gave birth to a baby girl, a surprisingly heartwarming twist.
It comes back that the valve had actually started to repair itself. The stem cells from my baby had started to heal my heart.
Carlson says it was not her heart that caused her to faint this time.
She doesn't know when she'll be back on the air yet, but sends a big thank you to viewers for the prayers. Barrett, NBC News.
Well, wishing her all the best. After the break, Michelle's got.
To his big brother, the special bond between siblings, coming up next.
Treatments alone stopped working. Mom Rachel and Dad Javante posted Preston's plea on social media.
I'm on my second round of chemo at Children's Hospital in Dallas. Soon, I will need a bone marrow transplant.
Finding a bone marrow donor, a major challenge for multiracial patients. So just in case, Cameron got tested.
And then they let us know that Cameron was a 100% match, a complete match.
Welcome news, since there were no matches in the registry.
Nice. Did you get that?
Mom and Dad always knew their boys shared a special bond, but never expected this powerful moment last month between the two.
Just because I got the shot doesn't mean it's sleepy. Yeah, it does. You're giving bone marrow from your body to my body because my bone marrow is messed up. It has cancer, right? Yours doesn't.
You can see Preston calmly and clearly explaining to 7-year-old Cameron just how much getting his bone marrow meant and calling him a hero.
You saved me. You saved me. No, you saved me.
What did you do, Cam?
I gave you a shot. You're a real life superhero. Oh, yeah.
Mom Rachel was recording the whole thing.
I just knew that it was a special moment.
I was amazed at the fact that you took the time to, really break it down to him.
Right. You want to hold on?
So far, Preston's procedure has been a big success. He's recovering, hoping to finally go home this week, and so grateful for his little brother's bravery.
He's entertained me and helped me whenever I don't feel so good. He's just a good little brother.
The boys are looking forward to riding bikes and skateboarding together again. We wish Preston such a speedy recovery. Back to you.
All right, Katie, thank you.
Wow, that is remarkable. Just priceless.
ABC.
It comes as ABC News confirms the Federal Reserve was aware of risks to Silicon Valley Bank for years. In 2021, the Fed cited key risks to the bank, including its handling of liquidity. And by July of last year, the Fed rated the bank deficient for governance and controls. The Fed is now conducting an internal review.
We should be confident in the banks and with our banks. And besides, we have FDIC.
Meanwhile, new trouble for First Republic Bank. The regional bank's credit rating has been downgraded again, even after bigger banks teamed up last week to offer it a $30 billion lifeline. S&P says that $30 billion may not be enough to solve the bank's liquidity problems. Concern about the banking industry turmoil has been spreading globally. Overnight, the world's central bank said they will pump more U.S. dollars into the global financial system so that dollars are available to borrow, a move also made during the 2008 financial crisis. And earlier yesterday, Switzerland's two largest banks announced a mega merger. UBS is buying Credit Suisse for more than $3 billion.
UBS intends to downsize Credit Suisse's investment banking business.
Back in the U.S., a new study warns 186 more banks are at risk of failing if just half of their clients withdraw their funds. Senator Elizabeth Warren is demanding CEOs of failed banks be held accountable.
They exploded their banks. And when you explode a bank, you ought to be banned from banking forever.
Senator Warren is also calling for an independent investigation into the Federal Reserve to see if warning signs about Silicon Valley Bank were missed. Andrew?
All right, more to come. Justin, thank you.
Chinese President Xi Jinping is visiting Vladimir Putin in Moscow today. It is considered China's biggest show of support since Putin invaded Ukraine. China calls it a visit of peace. The Kremlin says it wants to discuss further cooperation between the two nations. The visit follows Putin's surprise tour of the occupied Ukrainian city of Mariupol, where he drove himself around the city. U.S. officials are worried the Chinese could supply Russia with military aid. The Ukrainian official says China is already supplying electrical components.
A last-minute witness is scheduled to testify today before a grand jury investigating former President Trump. It comes after Trump's claim this weekend that his arrest is imminent. This morning, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is urging calm, saying people should not protest if former President Trump is indicted.
I don't think people should protest this now.
Trump is
Calculated killing. They did not immediately reveal a motive or what poison they think was used. Craig was arrested after his wife was taken off of life support.
a state lawmaker in New York credits his training for surviving a small plane crash. Assemblyman Clyde Bannell's plane came down on this beach in Long Island after the engine failed. He and his passenger are okay. He had this message for other pilots, quote, "The FAA's training works. Emergency procedures will save your life."
We turn now to social media and its impact on our kids. More school districts are suing the major social media companies, claiming they are responsible for a growing mental health crisis. Earlier this year, it was Seattle Public Schools suing, claiming social media companies are hurting students' mental health. Now, more districts are joining this legal fight.
This is a demand for these companies to do better with respect to this egregious misconduct, with respect to targeting kids.
The latest is Bucks County, Pennsylvania, adding its name to a nationwide lawsuit against Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, and YouTube, claiming social media use is linked to increases in mental, emotional, developmental, and behavioral disorders, including cyberbullying, eating disorders, anxiety, and suicide-related outcomes.
I wouldn't be surprised that by the middle of the year, at the end of the year, that school districts all over the country are filing similar lawsuits. We may also see lawsuits being filed by the U.S. Department of Education and the Department of Justice.
Google, which owns YouTube, responded, saying, "We provide parents with the ability to set reminders, limit screen time, and block specific types of content." And Snap, which owns Snapchat, says it uses human moderation to review user-generated content before it can reach a large audience. And it said it worked.
Text. It may be the last time that you do.
You can quit. For free help, call 1-800-QUIT-NOW.
Want more from your vitamins? Get more.
Shooting incidents in just over 24 hours. The first taking place Friday night. Gunfire rang out as restaurants were packed with customers.
We saw a bunch of people kind of rush the door, like the main entrance.
Everyone was running in and ducking and
and everybody was kind of scattering, ducking down, running to the sides of the restaurant.
Police were seen administering emergency care. One man died at the hospital and another was injured. Police said a suspect has been taken into custody. A suspect has also been arrested in a second shooting at 3:30 Sunday morning. Surveillance video captured the moments as the gunman opened fire. One man was killed and another person was wounded, prompting Mayor Dan Gelber to declare a state of emergency and institute a curfew.
The unruly nature of too many in the presence of guns has created a peril that cannot go unchecked.
Gelber said police have seized more than 70 firearms over the past 3 weeks. This is the third year in a row that Miami Beach has taken emergency measures in the month of March.
We don't want spring break in our city. It's too rowdy, brings too much disorder, and is simply too difficult to police.
Miami Beach ordered South Beach restaurants to close by midnight and stop the sale of alcohol at stores at 6 p.m. for the areas under curfew. Today, the City Commission will meet to consider similar enforcements and another curfew for later this week into the weekend. For CBS Mornings, I'm Lilia Luciano.
Coming up in just a moment, Vlad will be talking about the stories you'll be talking about today. But first, it is 7:42. Time to check your local weather.
A very cold start this morning. Temperatures are in the 20s. We'll climb above freezing after 9 o'clock this morning and only reach the 50s again today. Less wind with the mostly sunny sky. Your high today about 54. Tomorrow at 63. We will have one more night of freezing temperatures later on tonight and tomorrow morning at 29. Rest of the week, a significant warm-up is on the way. 80s by Thursday and Friday. Strong to severe storms, though, possible to close out the work week Friday afternoon.
Of CBS Mornings, sponsored by Indeed. If you're hiring, you need Indeed.
Your shipping manager left to find themselves, leaving you lost. You need to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Indeed Instant Match instantly delivers quality candidates matching your job description. Visit Indeed.com/hire. This Subaru Crosstrek, dog tested, dog approved. Love, it's what makes Subaru, Subaru.
Dupixent helps you do more with less asthma and can help you breathe better in as little as 2 weeks. Dupixent is an add-on treatment for specific types of moderate to severe asthma that's not for sudden breathing problems. Dupixent can cause allergic reactions that can be severe. Get help right away if you have rash, chest pain, worsening shortness of breath, tingling or numbness in your limbs. Tell your doctor about new
the very least, they are pals of Putin. Most of their actions, I think most of their relationship with Russia now is purely driven on economics and finance and their own national interest.
And also, if you're reliant on China, then that also probably puts you in this neutral territory as well. All right, Tom, Sufi Burge, really helpful. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Brett.
Right now in France, no one knows which place is next to be hit. This weekend, with little warning, protesters burst into a shopping center near Paris, shouting, waving flags. No arrests were made, but further west in Brittany, another shopping center was locked down as even more protesters arrived outside. Other demonstrations have resulted in violence and mass arrests. Some politicians' offices have been vandalized. All of this in response to a plan from Emmanuel Macron's government to raise retirement. ABC's Inez de la Guitarra is based in Paris. And Inez, I mean, we've heard about protests and strikes over European social programs before, but this sounds like they have a different feel to them, right? What's happening there?
Hey, Brad. Yeah, things certainly heating up here. It does feel different this time around. These are protests that have been kind of coming and going since January, but they have really started to pick up in recent weeks. So I was out covering these protests all weekend. On Friday, we saw hundreds of protesters gathering on the Place de la Concorde, right in the heart of Paris, and setting a massive fire there. And police fired back with water cannons to try and put that out. We did witness clashes between protesters and police officers. And then on Saturday evening as well, another big protest in a different part of Paris where, again, trash cans were set on fire. They're burning trash cans because those burn up really quickly. And there's a massive fire in the middle of the streets and more clashes there as well. So these are images we're seeing time and time again, and we're seeing them not just in Paris, really across France. These are protests that are spreading around the country.
And this all sort of goes back to the age of retirement, right? What is the current age and what does Emmanuel Macron want to do?
Yeah, so this is all about pension reform. So French President Emmanuel Macron is trying to reform pensions. The most controversial kind of aspect of his proposed plan to reform pensions is raising the minimum retirement age from 62 to 64. And, so Macron says he doesn't have a choice, that people are living longer, the demographics are just changing, and that the government will go into the red should the system stay as is. But on the flip side, demonstrators are saying that there should be other ways to fund pensions. So, for instance, some demonstrators we were speaking with were talking about taxing the rich. That's something we're hearing come again. They want Macron to find other ways to fund pensions. And they're also furious with the way Macron is going about it here. So Macron is using a procedure to get his law through that is similar to executive action. He is basically pushing his law through Parliament without a vote. And so many protesters say that is anti-democratic. So they're furious with not just the proposed bill, but the way the way Macron is trying to pass this bill as well.
I was going to say, Ines, because I think a lot of Americans would be like, ooh-hoo, like you have to work until you're 64? Like that sounds great to a lot of people here. And yet you've used the word furious a couple times. So this really does sound like it's beyond just an average like policy dispute. It's not academic.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, so I think there's a cultural aspect to this where, a lot of the protesters I was speaking with recognize that they just, it's a big part of French life is these benefits, and they're concerned about that. They're also worried about the fact that, they say if it's 2 years now, it could be another 2 years down the road. And this is just the government asking workers to work more and more and more.
Just wants to open the pension system to capitalization. And that's really something we don't want here because, contrary to the US, we're kind of a socialist country, I guess, much more a socialist country, and we're very down attached to it.
This also is just more evidence of just how frustrated people are getting to be with the Macron government. He is not the most popular right now, and certainly the protesters in the streets are furious. But if you look at recent polling, specifically when it comes to pension reform as well, there's a really interesting
because these triggers are only designed to impact one individual. You, no one, not even this faggot ass bot, no doctor, no theorist, no scientist can ever figure out what the fuck you just did. But I can tell you, you fucked up bad.